Hello again, fourth year students. Today we are going to talk about the last term that we have in testing, which is evaluation. So in this video, we are going to discuss certain things about this term. These things are mainly related to the definition of the term evaluation, the difference between assessment and evaluation, the characteristics of evaluation, and to its importance in the educational process. To start with, we have to define what evaluation is. So as we have used to do or used to do in the previous videos, we first of all list a number of definitions for the term and then comment on the things that can be found to be shared between these definitions in order to form or have an overall idea about the term. So what is evaluation? Number one, evaluation is the process of making judgments based on criteria and evidence. So again, evaluation means to judge. Okay, but here I'm not going to judge haphazardly or randomly. No, I'm going to have a list of criteria. According to them, I'm going to judge something or a behavior of a person or an object. Okay. Number two, evaluation is the comparison of actual project or program impact against the agreed strategic plan. It looks at the original objectives, you see. So what should you have in order to make an evaluation of a course or a program? First, when you plan to have a course, when you plan to teach something, when you plan to do something, first of all, you should have what? You should have a list of objectives, a list of goals. Okay, what are the goals of the objectives that you need to accomplish at the end of this project that you want to achieve or you want to accomplish? Okay, so at the end of making or having this course or the program or the project, you are going to make evaluation. You are going to evaluate the work that you have done. According to what or in terms of what? You are going to evaluate it in terms of the objectives that you have set at the beginning. Have you achieved these objectives or not? So this is evaluation. Okay, so it looks at the original objectives, or original, which means the objectives that you set at the beginning, at what was accomplished. Okay, how many objectives of them have you accomplished and how it was accomplished. Okay. Number three, evaluation is a systematic, rigorous, and meticulous application of scientific methods to assess the design, implementation, or outcomes of a program. You see, it is a systematic process. It should be based on scientific basis and followed scientific methods. Okay, in order to what? To judge or evaluate or assess the design, implementation, and outcomes. Okay, so at the end of your project, the project that you have accomplished, you are going to evaluate, to judge, to assess the scores, or to assess this project that you have made or accomplished or achieved according to what? According to the objectives that you have set at the beginning, in order to see, did you achieve these objectives or these goals or not? Okay. It is a resource-intensive process, frequently requiring resources. So not anyone can do evaluation. It needs resources. Okay, it needs certain capacities in order to make evaluation. Like what? Like expertise. You should have experience, labor, work, effort, time, and sizable budget. Okay. Number four, evaluation is a systematic process of collecting, analyzing and interpreting information to determine the extent to which a student's achievement reflects instructional objectives. Here, this definition, or definition number 4, talks about evaluation in the educational context. Okay, what does evaluation mean for the teacher? For the teacher, evaluation means it is what a process of collecting information. Okay, so you are going to collect information about your students' achievement. What kind of information you need? For instance, you can make for them a test and get or take this course of this test. So here you have what? You have data, you have information. Okay, are you going to stop here? No, you should also analyze and interpret these scores, okay, or these data. Why? In order to see, or in order to find out how much the scores of your students reflect reflect the achievement of the goals you have set at the beginning. So for instance, here our course, which is about testing or test design and assessment, I should have certain objectives, okay, to arrive at. I want to arrive at the end of what? At the end of this course. So for instance, I want to teach my students how to make a test, how to, because they are going to be teachers. So one of my aims is to introduce for them the correct and the suitable ways of making different types of tests in their specialization, which is what? Language testing, or teaching foreign language, teaching English as a foreign language. Okay, so at the end of the course, I have to make sure whether I achieved this objective or this goal or not. How can I do that? I can do that by applying different number of, or different techniques, different methods. One of them, it can be making a test, okay? Or I can I can ask you, okay, make for me a test about a certain or testing in which you test your students' abilities in a certain component or a skill of language, okay? Or make a project, or make a presentation, talk to me about, or talk to me and your colleagues about a certain thing in the course. Is it clear? So here I am collecting what? Information. I am going to depend on the performance that I'm going to get from you, whether from the test or from the presentation or from the project, and so on. So what am I going to do with the information that I got? I'm going to analyze it, interpret it, in order to find out whether you, as my students, can you design a test, a suitable test, an effective test, a good test for your students in the future or not. Okay, so if you can do that, here I'm going to evaluate my course that it has been what? A successful course, because at the end of the course you become what? A good teacher. Because why? One of the features of the good teacher is that you know how to make a test. Okay, but if you failed to make a good test for me, okay, here this means that you haven't achieved, or I as a teacher haven't achieved one of the goals of, or the objectives of my course. That's why I need to reconsider the things, or the objectives, or my teaching method, in order to find what has been wrong, what has been done mistakenly. Is it clear? So this is the meaning of, or the interpretation of evaluation for teachers. Number 5, evaluation is a systematic process of determining to what extent the instructional objectives have been achieved or actually realized. So the same idea, that at the end of the course, the teacher should evaluate should put in front of him or her the list of the objectives or the goals that he was aiming to achieve, and at the end of the course he is going to see how much of these objectives he has achieved and how much of the objectives that he has not achieved yet. Okay. Number 6, evaluation is the process of determining the merit, worth, or significance of a program or a course or of a study. Same thing. Okay, when you are going to evaluate or when you are going to find out how much objectives have you achieved and how much objectives they still need to be achieved, okay, you are going to to determine whether your course was significant, okay, whether your course has really developed your students' abilities or it needs to be modified, okay, and some certain elements needed to be added to it. Number 7, evaluation is a process that includes measurement. You see, first of all, you need to measure. And how can we measure? In our specialization in our field, which is language teaching and learning, we usually measure throughout testing. Okay, or one of the techniques throughout which we can measure our students' achievement is to make a test. You see, and possibly testing. But it also contains the notion of value judgment. Okay, so what does it mean, value judgment? What are you going to get from the scores? From the test, you are going to get scores. So these scores are going to be meaningless for the teacher and for the student unless you give them value. Okay, how are you going to give them value, or what does it mean that to give value judgment to the scores of the students? This is going to be analyzed or to be stated in number 8. So number 8 says that if a teacher administers a test in a class and scores it, that is called what? Measurement. But when the scores are interpreted and given value, such as A, B, or C, or you say, for instance, A means excellent, okay, or if you got from 90 to 100, this means what? Excellent. If you get from 80 to 89, this means very good, and so on. So here you are doing what? You are giving the scores their value. Is it clear? So when you do that, you are doing what? Evaluation. So from the above definitions, it can be said that evaluation is more comprehensive and inclusive than measurement. So as you see that we said you measure your students' achievement throughout certain techniques in which you get from them performance, such as a test. Okay, when you make a test for your student and you give them scores, this means that you are testing their abilities, you are measuring their abilities. Is it clear? Throughout what? Throughout giving them scores. You see, you tell them that the performance that you did today in this test is measured by this score. Is it clear? So these scores are going to be what? Meaningless unless they are given value. Okay, so what does it mean that to give value to scores? It means evaluation. So evaluation, we understand that evaluation now happens in this situation, that when you give the scores, for instance, or the performance of your students, certain value judgment. Okay, this is one situation. The second situation in which evaluation happens, which is the more comprehensive one, is going to be what? It is going when you compare your students' achievement against the course objectives. In order here, you are going to evaluate not only your students' score. No, you are going to evaluate the course in general, the educational process in general, your teaching method in general. Is that clear? So here you see that evaluation happens in these two situations. What is more important here for you to understand is the general meaning, okay? The overall meaning of evaluation in what? In education. So in the educational context, the verb to evaluate often collocates with terms such as the effectiveness of an educational system. So what do you evaluate? Or evaluation is related to what? Evaluation is related to judging the effectiveness of the educational system in general. You see, so here we are not talking about the students and their scores. No, the educational system, all the educational system. Was it beneficial? Was it useful? Was it good or not? A program, all the program. You evaluate all the program. A course, okay, the instruction, the teaching method you have used, the curriculum, the textbook, okay, the items that you have chosen to teach from the textbook. So you see here, evaluation in its general term is related to what? To judging these items or these elements. So according to this, Weiss in 1972 defines or said that evaluation refers to the systematic gathering of information. You see, so the teacher, okay, collects information, and as you see, as we said, the information comes from where? Comes from the performance of the students. Okay, and the performance of the students, as you remember, and we have said it repeatedly, that it can take different forms. Okay, it can be collected from different techniques. So we collect information. Why? For the purpose of making decisions. Okay, usually we make decisions at the end of the course, at the end of the program, at the end of the school or academic year. So it is not concerned with the assessment of the performance of an individual, but rather with forming an idea of what? The curriculum, and making a judgment about it. This judgment is made based on some kind of criteria and evidence. So when you judge whether your course was effective, successful, or not, you have what? You should have a list of criteria. What are these lists of criteria? This list of criteria includes what? Includes the objectives that you set, that you want to achieve at the beginning. Is it clear? So at the end, from the information you collected about your students, you are going to see whether you have achieved these objectives or not. So the purpose what is the purpose now of evaluation in general at the end? Is to what? To make decisions about the worth of instruction. So here you see, you evaluate your course in order to arrive at the conclusion, to evaluate what? To say what? To judge what? The curriculum first. Okay, was it suitable to the level of your students or not? Then you evaluate what? The instruction, the teaching method that you used with them. A course, or even the whole curriculum. So evaluation is thus larger and may include an analysis of all the aspects of the educational system. So you see, it is more comprehensive, and it includes judging and assessing and measuring everything in the educational process. You are not only judging your students, you are not judging yourself as a teacher, you are also judging the curriculum, you are judging the techniques, the methods that you have used, you are judging the facilities that the school has provided for you in order to make your job easy in teaching your students. Okay, at the end you are arriving at the point in which you are judging the whole educational system. Okay, so after we know what evaluation is and form a general idea about evaluation in the educational system, we need to know how can we differentiate or identify it from assessment. So assessment is thus the process of collecting information about students from diverse sources so that educators can form an idea of what they know and can do with this knowledge. So assessment is related to what? is related to your students' performance. Is it clear? You get performance from your students by whatever technique that you are going to use: a test, a project, a presentation, a pair work, a group work, okay, a dialogue, and then you can, from this, the performance that you can get, you are going to analyze this and the information that you get, to analyze their scores in order to see, have they developed themselves? Okay, have they got benefit from your teaching, or they need improvement? Is it clear? While evaluation is concerned with making judgments about what? About instruction, about the curriculum, about the educational system. Is it clear? So here, assessment is concerned with what? With the student performance, while evaluation is a bigger term. Okay, why? Because it is concerned with evaluating the program in general, the curriculum, the educational system, the teaching method, and so on. Okay, so what are the characteristics of evaluation? First, it is a continuous process. The teacher should do evaluation, or it is an ongoing process. Whenever you get performance from your student, you have to compare it against the objectives that you have set at the beginning, in order to see that how many of these objectives that you have achieved or not, and how many objectives that still or are still waiting to be achieved. Okay. Number two, it is comprehensive, because what does it mean comprehensive? It includes everything. We are not talking here about only the student's performance. No, you are evaluating the teaching activity, the method, you are evaluating the curriculum, you are evaluating the whole educational system in general. Number three, it is student-centered. We said that that evaluation is directed to both the teaching method and the learning process. But here, when we say it is student process or centered, we mean that it is mainly interested in what? It is mainly interested in what? In the student's performance, because the student performance, okay, is what going to reflect for you the how much objectives, okay, that you have achieved from your course. Number four, it is remedial. Okay, what does it mean? It is remedial. At the end, when you arrive at a certain judgment about your course, you are going to make use of this judgment in order to develop your course for the next year, for instance. Okay, so you are, when you arrive at a conclusion that for instance, your teaching method or the teaching techniques that you have used to teach, for instance, the present perfect, were not effective with the students. So what are you going to do? You are going to develop these techniques, put in new ideas, okay, create new ideas for the next course. In this way, you are making improvement. Okay, it is a remedial work. Number five, it is a cooperative process, okay, because it is not only the job of the teacher, and everyone who is related to the teaching and learning process can participate in it. The students, you can ask students to evaluate you, okay, to evaluate your teaching, the teaching method or the teaching techniques that you have used. You can ask students to tell their opinions regarding the curriculum, regarding the textbook, whether they have found it useful or not useful, difficult or easy. You can ask, for example, you can include also the parents, okay, the peer group, your colleagues, okay, from the teachers that who are teaching English in the same school or institution, the supervisors, okay, the administrators. So all the people who are related to the teaching and learning process can and be involved in the process of evaluation. Number six, it can reflect the effectiveness of the teaching methods. Okay, and we talked about this, that throughout evaluation, you within evaluation, you can also judge whether your teaching method was effective, was good or not. It is concerned with the academic, physical, and mental development that the students have achieved along the course or program. Of course, when the students start the course, they are not the same as when they finish it. Is it clear? You expect as a teacher that your students have achieved have a certain development. Okay, for instance, they have widened their information, widened the information that they have about English. They have developed their abilities in speaking, in listening, in writing. Okay, so here throughout evaluation, you are measuring the development, the mental development, the academic development that your students have achieved from the course. Finally, we are going to talk about the importance of evaluation. Evaluation has a great importance in the teaching and learning processes. Why? Because as we said, it is diagnostic. Okay, it helps you to identify the advantages and the disadvantages of your course. It is remedial. If you identify that there has been some mistakes, okay, or some flaws, some drawbacks in your course, you can remedy them, you can modify them, you can develop them, you can change them or create new ideas. It can clarify the objectives of education. Okay, it reminds you all the time that you have certain objectives that you have to achieve. Is it clear? Number 4, it provides guidance. Okay, as related to what? As related to the it guides you to the best ways to develop yourself as a teacher, to develop your students' performance, to develop the curriculum that you are using or depending on. It is helpful in classification. It helps you to classify your students to successful learners, best students, good students. Okay, according to what? According to according to the value, okay, that you are going to give to their scores. And number 6, it is helpful in the improvement of the teaching learning process. Of course, when you are going to arrive at a certain or a final decision regarding this course, you are going to to improve it, to develop it, to include, to involve inside and within it new things, creating new ideas to use it for the next time. So you are here doing what? You are improving not only your course, you are improving yourself as a teacher. Okay, you are improving the curriculum, you are improving the whole environment that you need to teach your students effectively, and at the end you are improving the educational process in general. So with this we have finished talking about the 3 important terms that we need to know about in our course, and these 3 terms, as if you remember, they were testing, assessment, and evaluation. Thank you.